What is going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Bobby Fi here with Brandon Cruz and Eric Sheets-Haber. We're going to be talking through first the NBA slate, which I think is mostly probably going to be Sheets and I, considering Brandon doesn't usually dabble in the NBAs too much, except for the showdowns. Then we'll jump into football for my Rams, and a huge game for these Rams here tonight. And it's a massive one, so I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm still running some stuff. We did get some news in basketball that Durant is out. And in football news that's relevant is the Guerrero is in. Those are the main pieces that we were sort of waiting on before the day started. And I'm looking to see. Looks like everybody's playing. The starting lineup's normal for both the Raptors. Oh, Mogbo's starting. So that is not something that I had. So that's another thing to take into account, that he's starting instead of. Who is he starting over, actually? What did I miss here? That's weird. I don't even know. Oh, it's not. Davion Mitchell's not starting. So Mogbo is no Davion Mitchell. So, all right. I just ran my stuff, and I'm going to have to change some things because I'm going to probably have to add some Mogbo in there. But I guess the main question is, how much of Isaiah Stewart are we playing, and why is it 90%? I think
I'm so far behind. I don't know what you're talking about. So
he's going to be the best projected player on the slate. But
the real question is, when did that news come in?
The news was a little bit ago. It was at. Let me just grab it.
So I do have Isaiah Stewart with a 24-point projection. Okay, so that's fine. Okay,
yeah, 3,600.
But what else? Is that it? Is that it that just came in, or the other thing you just said?
No, the Mogbo starting for Toronto, that just came in, and that's a pretty big piece of news.
What's his first name?
Mogbo, is it Jonathan? Yeah, Jonathan Mogbo. He was already looking like a fringy type of play anyway. I think now he's going to look a lot better once things rerun. I just don't think they're there yet. So I do want to get some of that as well. And he's got forward eligibility because the center spot is loaded tonight with the value. So I guess that's the main thing. So it's really, look, Isaiah Stewart's going to be in about 80% of my lineups. Missy's going to be in about 40% of my lineups. And then I like Kristaps too. So that makes it a center utility almost exclusively for me today. That's where I'm at.
So I'm probably going to have to manually adjust this Mogbo thing, right? What do you think he should project? Like 21, 22?
He was at Saberson had him at 19 before, which felt a little bit maybe aggressive, but now as a starter, I would guess somewhere around 23 or 24.
Or even more than that, 24, huh?
That might be a little, maybe somewhere in the low 20s. I don't know.
You think he's going to be really popular?
I think he'll be popular, but I don't think it's going to be like outlandish. I think that Isaiah Stewart's going to be more popular, assuming that Isaiah Stewart starts, which we don't have a starting lineup yet from them. But
so we don't even know if he's starting.
But we're assuming that he is, because this is usually a situation where he would. Could they do something different here? Sure, but as of right now, I would assume that he's starting. That's the only starting lineup from the first games that we don't have yet. D Pope is asking if there's any quick tips for NBA Showdown.
Well, you should ask me, right? Because I'm the defending champion.
You are. You nailed it last night. You took the words out of my mouth. So I think.
My advice is to play the Showdown very similarly to the way you play NFL, but just not quite as gross. Play the best plays. Maybe leave a little on the table. Maybe like 200. You could do some funny business with the spreadsheets that I kind of went over the other day. I don't really have time to go over all that today. Yeah. But you can fire it. Nothing particular. I have no particular advice on it. Just run the projections, but make sure that you get all these right now. I mean, like if you have with the Mogbo and all that stuff, like you can't get away with. You got to get that right for Showdown.
Yeah.
So you got to wait.
And they did bump Mogbo up to 23 on SaberSim, which is only like a 4-point jump. But at that price, it's a pretty significant jump. And I think that they still might be sorting it out. It's one I could see going a little bit higher potentially. And yeah, so we have the value we didn't have earlier, and we have obviously no Tatum, no Hauser for Boston. So the slate is kind of evening out a little bit. I'm starting to like the idea of stacking that Boston game. You have Stewart as the obvious play on the other side, but I like Cade, and I wouldn't even cross out plays like Jaden Ivey. There's also a thin, for the lottery, I think you want to take some shots at Paul Reed if he doesn't, assuming he doesn't start, because he could easily get, maybe not half the run of Stewart, maybe not the same run as Stewart, but maybe it goes 28-20, or maybe Reed's playing better and they leave Paul Reed in. So I think Paul Reed is an interesting speculative play.
Just again to stress this, it's not your typical late swap like we've had the last couple of days. You have both, 2 games at 7:30 and then 1 at 8. Now, what I ran earlier, remember I was getting all those Pelicans. So I have to see if this new Detroit news, butts those New Orleans guys out.
I think you're still going to get to some of them because they're not like the value guys, like Missy's a value-ish guy, I guess you'd say, because he's 5K. But like DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy, CJ McCollum, I think are still going to be pretty popular out there, and I think that they should be. They're playing at home, fast-paced game against Sacramento, and they don't have obviously Ingram, so I think this is a spot where you do want to get, probably you're going to be looking at around 20 to 30% of basically the entire starting five of New Orleans, I think.
What about my old Kevin Love play from earlier today?
I think that one's sort of gone out the window, huh?
Yeah, right.
But is it one of those spots where he comes in and he plays 12 minutes and he puts up 35 fantasy points?
Seems like a nice little 3-game slate type of play, I think.
Type of shot. I'm taking a shot on another guy in that game, and that's Terry Rozier.
All right.
That's my biggest difference in the field. He finally played a good game his last time out against Cleveland at 32. He's 4,500. He's a value piece that I don't see a lot of people using tonight. So I got like 25% of him. I think he's expected to be about 5% owned.
There was talk of like bad chemistry, I think.
There is, yeah, but this is a guy who would be 7K if there was not that bad chemistry. So
okay, all right, that's been factored in. Okay,
I think it's been factored into his price is my take, but I'm certainly open to anyone else's thoughts on that one. But that's just where I'm at.
Well, this is what I'll say. I guess I'll say, well, I'm not getting like 100% Stewart.
Yeah,
I'm getting 62. And then still getting like 46% of the Herb Jones. So, and I am getting 40 of the Mogbo, but not like 100 or anything like that, So
yeah, I think that makes sense because you've got Missy also at center, and then you've got Kristaps, who's also going to be popular at center. So between Missy, Stewart, and Kristaps, they're the 3 best point per dollar projected plays in the slate, and they're all centers. So. And then you've got Bam, who's also, I think, a very good play at 8,100 at center. So a lot of good center options. I would be trying to almost exclusively use center in my utility. Even Podol's a reasonably good play to take a shot at. So I do like the center spot a lot today. I think there's going to be center and utility everywhere.
Hey, Brandon, I was going to ask you, I didn't write it down. I think I'm just kind of hoping that you know what I'm talking about without me having to go find it again. There was some new NASCAR product that got rolled out, some like new sim thing just for NASCAR that was being publicized on Twitter over the last couple of weeks.
If
you hear anything about it, do you know who runs that?
If you're talking about Speed Geeks with Schroeder, Schroeder knows what he's doing, okay. And that's going to be a good product. That was
Schroeder. Who is that? That's
I'll send you his Twitter.
No, but he's like a DFS player. I mean,
yeah. He's a high roller. He's like you.
Okay.
He knows what he's doing. He's a really, really good DFS player. He's like you, Astukas, same group.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Putting me in the category of Astukas. That's pretty funny.
You know what I mean? Like you guys know what you're talking about.
I get it.
No, he's. They were with Win the Race this last year. And I guess they split off. I think last year Schroeder was testing stuff with them, and this year he's going off on his own.
Okay.
But just from knowing how he plays, because he was actually a guy that I used to scrape lineups from like years ago because he was performing so well.
Okay.
So I fully expect that to be a good product.
Was he one of that? Who are the guys that you had on your stream that time? The guy that did all 150 by hand.
That's Sterling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, NASCAR that seems really tough.
Yeah, I've never done a show, and I really haven't talked with Schroeder much. Like, I mean, we've like DM'd on Twitter and stuff, but I would not say that I know him very well. I just know that he's really good, and I have a lot of respect for him.
So this is definitely. I apologize, Bobby. This is like definitely something we should be talking about when we're like an hour and a half.
No, we're fine.
Instead of like 9 minutes.
Yeah, right.
It's only 3 games.
Talking about some random sim for a sport that's not even in play for another month and a half.
No, that's pretty funny.
I'm missing all of it, Brandon. I'm telling you, the NBA is a freaking grind. I want LOL back like immediately. You know, I want LOL back. I want NASCAR back. This is what keeps my brain balanced. And tennis rolls back with the Australian Open, I guess, in January.
Yeah,
we got LOL. It seems like I haven't done an LOL slate in years.
Wait, okay. I mean, do you say that? But, I was wandering through the DraftKings lobby the other day, and I saw you playing soccer at like 11 a.m.
Oh no, I'm always playing soccer. No, soccer. Are you kidding me? Soccer is like more important to me than the NFL. Soccer. Don't tell me about the soccer.
Yeah, not like maxing an 1,100 person contest for soccer.
Hell yeah.
Can I petition something though? Because if you've won a certain amount, I can't play any small tournaments, which is fine for me with I don't care about basketball, baseball, football. But if I've never played the games, shouldn't I be allowed to play like $1 contests and mess around with the Sims or 50-cent contests?
I thought they changed that. I heard from different people, or maybe they opened the range that you have to eclipse to pass. Because I heard, or I know of some people who used to not be able to enter like $4 contests, and now they're able to enter like the $4.20 max again.
I haven't been able to, but I'll check it out again because I would certainly like to.
And soccer is pure, man, because there's no Saber Sim, there's no Sims. I mean, I'm really trying to learn how to build with fundamentals and stuff. I kind of enjoy that with the soccer.
Yeah, I would love to get to understand some of.
You know about? I mean, you used to play. You were saying.
Which thing?
But you soccer.
Oh yeah. That's the things I used. But I used to be coming from strictly. There was no projections out for any of these things.
There really aren't anyway. I mean, there are some, but they're completely random, pretty much.
Right. Okay. I know myself, and I know I would end up getting really into soccer as a sport if I did it. Because I did get really into it for a few years, but I just sort of have been off the soccer market.
But in any case, I want League of Legends back. That's one of my favorites. It really is. I mean, it's no stress. It's not for that much money. You know what I mean? And you only have a couple of things. You wake up in the morning and you sweat like a game. It's awesome. It's like there's no real injury news to worry about, and it's all correlation. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd like to get into it. I did post my bets, Jimmy, in the channel, but I would say the bets that I like tonight, just because he's asking right now. I like the Pistons. I like at 11.5 plus 11.5. I like Miami -10, and I like the Pelicans Kings under, and I like the Pelicans to cover +7.
Brandon, do you bet sports at all?
I can't in Texas.
Okay. You're better off.
Yeah, like I don't do that. I don't play pick'ems or anything. I just do DFS.
Yeah. I'm really bummed at myself for just not being able to, or not pushing harder, because the NBA and NFL have been unbelievable to me this last.
Dude, you can open an account on Bet Online. I mean,
I could do that, but that's the weird. That's right. I'd have to have a what's it called? Wouldn't I? Like a thing that says that I'm somewhere else.
Who Bet Online?
For Bet Online, you can do it from California.
No, Bet Online, they don't care. I mean, I don't think Bet Online there's any jurisdictional problems. I think.
All right, maybe I'll take a shot at it then.
I don't think. All right, let me see what's going on FanDuel. So on FanDuel in the NBA, let's see if there's any real difference. I'm playing that. I'm getting. What am I getting over there? Yeah, pretty much the same. Isaiah Stewart, top guy by 60%. Okay, I'm getting more of them. I'm getting more Butler, I guess.
Why am I getting so much? Why is Butler so? It's just a price thing, right? Like, it just seems like he's a little bit over-owned tonight. I might actually lower that manually because I've got him at. They were giving me like 65% of them. I'll just make it. I'll cap him at 50. I've got Jaylen Brown as my highest owned player. Isaiah Stewart second highest owned. Derek White third. Missy fourth. Butler and Mogbo fifth. And then Drew Holiday, Porzingis, DeJounte. Pretty much most of the guys you'd expect. And as I mentioned earlier, the one guy I'm forcing in is Terry Rozier, speculative play. I also think that no one will play Luke Cornett now, and no one will play Paul Reed. And those are two other plays I like for the lottery. So those are my biggest differentiators, I guess.
All right. Well, as I say, F the NBA. What's going on with the showdown, Brandon? What are we doing here?
I think, and look, I'm not trying to name drop two people, Schroeder, and I'm going to just name drop JBC like I know who he is, like we ever talk or whatever. But on Monday, he tweeted out, whenever someone tells you that like NFL Showdown, like there isn't an edge, remind them that Joe Burrow was like more owned than Jamar Chase today. Same thing with today. Like I think you play either Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp in the flex and just move on from there. So like that's my first thing, which is, I'm
in
not
the flex or the captain.
In the captain. It's one of those two for me. I think it's Puka. I'm probably going to go with Puka in the captain, and I'm personally probably going to lean towards stacking more Rams players. My only decision is going to come down to, do I play Williams or Deebo Samuel? I think in a construction standpoint, their projections are probably much closer than people want to give.
Williams or who?
Samuel in the flex.
Okay.
And this could be with, Samuel complaining that he's not getting the ball and that he wants to be involved more. Also combined with the fact that he's just scored so poorly the last like month and a half or whatever. And then, with Williams being the only running back that, the Rams are really using, I think those two are going to be pretty much identical plays. And earlier in the day, it was expected that Samuel would probably come in with higher ownership, or at least, a greater, or at least a substantial amount would probably push people to either getting underweight on Samuel or not playing him. It's looking like Samuel and Williams have kind of balanced out today, and so I'm probably going to go with Williams as my play. But I like Puka. Clearly, like, you have to play Stafford with Puka, and probably Samuel are probably going to be the three guys that I focus on today.
Well, I have a bunch of thoughts. Okay, so first of all, regarding the JBC's tweet, so I did a lot of work actually on captain ownership for that particular slate, and it was really funny. When I was projecting it, I was projecting Burrow at like 10% ownership, okay, in the captain, and then what ended up happening was, when I was running all my lineups, okay, I was getting, not surprised, I was getting all this Burrow, okay, because he was projecting an only 10% ownership. Okay, so anyway, the cards flipped over, and everything was so close. I mean, I was so good with my projections, except for for two things. Number one was Burrow. Okay, I was way off. Well, way off. He had like 16% or something like that. And then that money was taken from Chase Brown. It wasn't really taken from Jamar Chase. It was taken from Chase Brown. Chase Brown, we had projected for like 26% or something, and that ended up at like 20 or 19 or something like that. So aside from that, it actually was pretty good. Okay, now with respect to this week, all right, you hit on a couple of points, and I want to go through them. First of all, the thing about Samuel, it's kind of double-edged, okay? Because you have, on the one hand, a really, you have some narratives, okay, just to say the least, okay. But the other thing is that he's really underpriced, okay. He's really underpriced. So the problem here is, I think that because of that, he's going to be really popular. I think. And to that point, like, all these mid-range San Francisco guys, I think, are going to be more popular than the Rams guys. And what's going to happen is that when people build, and I've tried this myself, you're going to get a lot of like big time San Francisco stacking, like 4-1 San Francisco's, or whatever, 4-2, whatever it is. And what you just said, about keying the Rams guys, if you can do that, I think you're going to be in good shape as far as being contrarian goes. Just because the way that you run these optimals, it just wants to cram Deebo Samuel, okay? And, most of the mid-range San Francisco guys. So if you can get away with it, if you can play the Puka and the Kupp and play like 4-man Rams or 5-man Rams and get away with that, you're going to be, I think you're going to be really, really unique.
Can I point out something about Deebo Samuel? Because I thought initially, before anything happened today, and even the projections very early in the day didn't particularly love him. I think this is really weird. This guy has not had a game like in months. He hasn't scored more than 6 fantasy points in months, or a month. I think it's a little strange. I mean, he's averaging, what is he averaging? Like 8 fantasy points a game this year. It's something's up. But I liked him tonight, and he's always played well against the Rams. But this feels fishy to me. Why is this Deebo thing so? I understand the price is lower than he's used to being, but I wanted to play him as a contrarian captain.
Well, that's the thing. That's why it's double-edged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you want to take shots on guys like this that you think are just, have talent and for whatever reason haven't gotten there, when they're unpopular. But when they're priced like this, especially on Showdown, and just all lineups are flowing to him, you almost just want to fade him. I mean, you don't want to be that person. Oh my God, I really play Deebo Samuel with 60% ownership when he averages 8 fantasy points a game. I mean, like,
right.
So the reason I bring up the Cincinnati game so much is normally we don't really have a similar showdown in terms of pricing or in terms of player productivity on these showdowns. Like sometimes you have the Giants playing like the Jaguars or whatever. Whereas like with the Bengals, Higgins ended up underperforming because he just never got the ball in the second half. But the optimal lineup, or at least high-scoring lineups, were like Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Burrow, Chase Brown. So it was like the 4 most expensive guys. The reason I'm bringing that up is I think that today could very easily like be an exact repeat of that with like Puka Nacua, Williams, Cooper Kupp, and Stafford in the optimal lineup. And I think, like personally, I don't know why Steph would be leaning towards San Francisco when you could very easily like play those 4 players that I just mentioned there together on a team. That's more so where I'm trying to debate what to do with Deebo, and what, because it's either like, for me, yet again, I'm playing like the 50s and the $100 inventory and stuff, and I'm trying to figure out, do I want to prioritize, kind of like as you stated, stacking, like full on stacking the Rams and getting the leverage for that way, or playing Deebo at a discount, hoping that he can score at least 10 or 11 and possibly getting not like a Conley or like a Willis or whatever, like a $200 player as the last guy in.
Well, what I think is that if you like Nacua, for example, and you like that whole idea of playing those Rams, and listen, I didn't look at it, but if you're telling me that you can actually make all that work and play Deebo somehow, I would do it.
Well, it wouldn't be all 4. It'd be like 3 of those guys plus Deebo.
Right.
That's yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I would do, because I'm not worried about Deebo chalk if you're going to put freaking the Rams in like a 4-man stack.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that too. And for what it's worth, I actually don't mind being. I think Deebo's going to be lower owned as a captain than he's being projected. He's already dropped from 10 to 7 since we've been on here, just on SaberSims at least. It just didn't quite sit right with me at ownership. Like if he's going to be 15% owned a captain, you just fade him everywhere. It'd be my take. But if he's going to be 5%, then I think it's worth taking a shot at. I think it just depends on where you really see the ownership ending up. For me right now, I'm getting Puka as my highest owned. Puka and Jennings as my highest owned. Jennings is probably the more differentiator, and I don't know why we wouldn't just play him instead of the Deebo stuff. Although I'm on the record with Deebo's going to start having games at some point. At the same time, I don't really love the idea of just playing the chalky play that doesn't make that much sense. Sheets, what are you and Brandon? What are you guys thinking about like Atwell and Robinson? Because I actually think both of them are good contrarian plays. Mostly it's been Robinson. Last week he didn't catch anything. Tutu had a decent game. I think these are the other plays you can fit in to try to save money. What do you guys think about those guys? Especially Atwell, because he's going to be much.
Well, I'll start because we talked about this a little bit before when I called you earlier. Well, Robinson sat out like 1 quarter of the last game.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. So the question really is how do you deal with receivers on the Rams that are not, Nacua and Kupp, right? So DeMarcus Robinson, I think, is clearly the wide receiver 3 if he's healthy. And my question then that I meant to ask to you is that when I thought that he was questionable, would you play? Listen, obviously Atwell would be huge chalk and probably a forced play if Mark Robinson was out. But with Robinson in, are you willing to play him in a must-win game? You know what I mean? This is a must-win game for the Rams. I mean, sort of, right? So are we? How much are they really going to like wide receiver 4s? You know, that's a question. And then a subsidiary of that question is, do they use the tight ends at all? You know, and if so, it's pretty clear to me that Parkinson's kind of supplanted Davis Allen back as the top guy. What are you doing with the cheap the non top receivers for the Rams, Brandon?
The guy that I am debating using, I think, outside of the top receivers and stuff for the Rams would probably be Parkinson, just due to his price tag. But I mean, at this point, I'm like, let me go back to what Bobby asked with Atwell versus. I would probably play the tight end Parkinson over Tutu, like straight up head to head. I think he's probably a better DFS play, but that's really my only opinion with the guys down here. At this point, I'm just trying to get whatever I want up top and just preferably not take a 0 unless I'm playing like a $200 guy at this range.
Yeah, and I think you're right about Parkinson having supplanted Allen, but it does seem to change every week with the Rams. I can't really, actually not every week, but every few weeks. Ever since our main guy got his knees taken out early in the season. So, like for me, I think the core is the Kupp, Nacua, but remember the Niners are one of the best teams in the league against the pass still. Even on a down year, I really think that you want to make sure you're way overexposed to Kyren Williams tonight. The Niners historically used to be great against the run. They've been just dreadful, and I think Kyren Williams is every bit as good a play as the Nacua and Kupp. I'll throw out a random stat here about Nacua. I think he's had like 7 games where he's had 11 or more targets, and in the next game he never caught 7 passes. So hey, short week Thursday. I could see them using the running game a lot this week, so that's what I'm going on. I'm going to be a little bit higher on Kupp, a little lower on Nacua, and that's partly just because of ownership as well. I also am way higher on Atwell and Parkins. I'm way higher on Atwell, and I'm going to be out higher on Robinson in the field, just because I need to make it work somehow.
What do you think of San Francisco besides Samuel, Brandon?
I would probably not. I entered this game expecting I would be getting to Isaac, or at least the running game in some aspect. But I'm like, my stuff is just not showing like any favoritism towards like any San Francisco player at all. It seems to be Debo, and then like I would have to completely rearrange how I'm doing. Like, I mean, if I had to rank what my stuff is showing, it's then like Kittle, Jawan, Patrick Taylor, Isaac and stuff. But with the price tag that those guys are at, I feel like the optimal that's being projected with stacking like San Francisco, I feel like that would be the way that I'd end up getting to like Kittle and people like this. Like I just don't want to play the San Francisco part of this game.
Well, let's talk about the running backs for a minute. All right. So, Garendo was kind of made to look as questionable or whatever it is, but they said he was active. And then, I talked about this with Bobby earlier as well, is that, they DraftKings were sharp. I guess you could call them sharp in that they pre-priced Patrick Taylor at 7,500, right? So that if in fact Garendo was out, you wouldn't have like a 90% owned $200, $4,000 Patrick Taylor, right? But there is for in the lottery, there is room for the Shanahan's a dirty rotten liar narrative, and that maybe just maybe Garendo's not exactly a picture of health, and next thing you know, you get a completely hashtag overpriced Patrick Taylor with 2 touchdowns and 2% ownership. not for 20 max, or big buy-ins, but I've seen, unfortunately, I've seen this movie before.
I like him as a low-owned play. The weird thing I'm still struggling with is why the projections are as high on him as they are. Like, they've got him at a 7 fantasy point projection. That's really high for a guy who legit may not play. But at the same time, I am suspicious about this. I think Guerrero would not be playing if it wasn't a must-win against the Rams. I don't think that he's healthy. And I like the speculation on the Patrick Taylor a little bit. And I like that he's high priced because it'll keep the ownership down.
If I was going to play anybody from San Francisco outside of Debo, it would probably be Jake Moody.
Okay.
I feel like the priority from San Francisco should probably be Samuel, Moody, and then Kittle, if I were to start looking in that direction.
I like the Moody idea, and I think both kickers are totally in play. Remember, it's a Thursday night too, and it's a must-win game. Everybody's, they're going to be going for it, but it doesn't mean they're going to be going for it on every fourth down. I think that you're going to see a lot of that. So I'm in on that idea a little bit.
Well, let's do this again. So let's predict. Who do you think is going to be the top owned captain?
It'll be Puka.
I have Puka at 17%. And my second highest owned captain projected is Samuel at 13.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by Juwan Jennings, actually, at 11.5. I mean, I'm seeing Stafford only 4%. But he's not going to get there, is he? I mean,
it's just the reason I like, if you're going to play one of Purdy or Stafford, I'd go with Purdy just because there's a chance of him running it in more likely than there's Stafford running it in.
What about your other idea you talked about on the phone with me? What about the Demarcus Robinson sub 1%?
Yeah. I mean, I have that. I made sure to get him at. I have 2% of it. I don't have a bunch of it, but I captain. I have him 20% in the flex right now because I do think that it's completely possible. Again, good pass defense. What does that mean? You might have to go through your reads a little bit faster and get to your third receiver. And he is going to be the wide receiver 3 part of the time, and he's going to be and Atwell will be the wide receiver 3 part of the time. They're both going to get their shots at it.
Is Tyler Johnson going to get in there at all, or Tyler?
He's probably going to be out there for some plays. I don't know that he's going to get any balls directed towards him. Feels a little too thin for me. Just on the cusp, but a little thin.
Yeah. Defenses, kickers. You think it's just that type of game? It could be.
I think it is. I think you want to have them in your pool. I mean, it's a Thursday game after they played the Sunday afternoon games. It's a very, very short week. It's as short as they come in the NFL, basically. So I think that playing kickers and defenses make a lot of sense. I also do not understand why Kyren Williams is not more popular as a captain or just as popular as Puka. It feels a little off to me. So I think Kyren Williams is the best captain option now that I see the current ownership.
Why is that?
Because the San Francisco cannot stop anybody. Cannot stop the run against anybody. They've been getting lit up by everybody. Kyren Williams gets the most usage of anybody. He's not going to be 20% owned as a captain. He'll be if he's 8%. I want at least double that. Even with Nakua going crazy, the constant for this team has been Kyren, and they're going to run the ball, especially on a short week against a team that can stop the pass and can't stop the run.
I like the showdown, so we can talk about everybody. So 2 guys we haven't talked about yet that are just you just have to is one is Blake Corum. I know that they like to have Kyren with the ball a lot, but every single game Corum gets series.
Mm-hmm.
If he's on the field when he goes into the end zone,
mm-hmm.
I mean that's pretty big. And the other guy I'd mention is the guy that people play sometimes for San Francisco. That's the Pearsall. What do you think of either of those guys?
I like Pearsall a little bit more than the field does, and I like. I think Corum is fine. I don't believe they've given him a goal line carry yet this year. That's the only thing I'm worried about with him, and that's sort of what you're playing him for.
Who?
Corum.
Okay.
I don't believe he might have had one. I mean, he hasn't had a touchdown, but he might have had one carry or something like that near the goal line. But he'll get work. You're right. I like that Pearsall is more of a speculative play. It's weird that he's completely disappeared off the face of the earth after looking pretty good, in back-to-back games. So, but I think it's a good play to speculate on. I'll just go.
There's no way. I mean, I'm looking at my ownership projection. There's no way they play use check up to 10%. There's no way.
People love playing Juszczyk in these freaking showdowns. I don't get it.
I was gonna ask about him, but he's been so bad this year.
He fumbled last time he touched the ball.
He hasn't been doing anything. I will say I used to play him a lot with McCaffrey, like last year and stuff.
Oh yeah, he used to be the king.
Yeah, but he's not being utilized the same way. And I guess with everybody just injured, like they're just like, why do we need Shanahan's like, why do I need to use Juszczyk when all the other running backs seem to do their job when they're put in line?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean that well, if the other running backs are really banged up, maybe he gets an extra carry or two. Maybe he does get a goal line touch or something. It's possible. I'm not going for it, but I don't mind it.
Except him at $2,000, like if he scores 0, that kills your line. Like he used to when he was like 200, 400 or whatever.
Right.
You know, he'd score 0 and it wouldn't kill you, or he'd score the touchdown. It would help you a ton. And I think this is just a drastically different Juszczyk play than what it used to be.
Yep.
So I'm gonna finish out my roster here because I have 32 players on my list. So we've gotten through almost all of them. You mentioned Parkinson. The other back, second string, I guess his tight end is Hunter Long. He's I don't know what his price is. He's got to be like 200 to play him. You know what I mean? Like he's like 2,000. I don't think you'll play him.
Yeah, he's 200.
He's 200.
200, you could play him. I mean, he's gonna get some snaps.
Yeah.
You mentioned Chris Conley. Has he been on the field yet?
I believe he's been on the field, but I don't think he's caught a pass. Is it this whole season? Yeah, maybe. Oh, he might have had one like week 1 or 2.
And usually the other guys. So if in fact Garendo was going to be out, we'd be talking about some dude they picked up from the Jets practice squad whose name I can't pronounce, and like Amagansett or something. I don't know what his name is, but. And then the other one would be Keyshawn Vaughn. But these guys are like behind like even Patrick Taylor, so I'm not going to play them. Other names just to throw out there, Ronnie Rivers, more in special teams, I guess.
Yeah.
And then throw names out because I have them projected like, less than a half a point, but I'm going to see if they come up. Jacob Cowing. Is he like an offensive tackle or something? I don't know.
He's a wide receiver, but he doesn't play really.
He doesn't play. Xavier Smith. Just want to see if anything rings a bell to anybody. Jake Tongues. And last on my list, projecting at 0.135 fantasy points, the once and future Hall of Famer Braden Willis. So that rounds out my player pool. I don't think I'm getting any of the guys I just mentioned.
Yeah.
We didn't mention Eric Sobert. He's another guy that's in this game. I was hoping like something to say, oh, you know what? He's not a bad play, but I'm not hearing any of that. So these guys will probably not make it.
Yeah, I'm not making it for me on this. I think you're going to see the main guys out there mostly, but I do think that Robinson and Atwell are considered a part of that. I think Parkinson is the other one. I actually don't think that taking a shot on Hunter Long is like the worst in the world, but I don't think I'm going to end up doing it.
Dude, I'm one of those guys that DraftKings is like being predatory with now. I'm like one of those prospects. They're showing 500,000 for first in this thing. When they show 100,000 for first, I'm never playing Jake Tongues. You know what I mean? But with 500,000 for first up there, I'm going to be looking up Jake Tongues like Pee Wee League results from when he's in 3rd grade. Like he's gonna.
Do you know who I don't mind Sheets though in that line? It would probably be Vaughn.
Or not Jordan Whittington.
No, I mean, again, he played on special teams and stuff like that. But
well, pair him with the defense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a long shot for me.
Okay, I got a question because without giving lines away, I'm assuming that if you're using your $200 player, is it forcing you to go with the 49ers or Rams defense?
Let's see how much.
I'm not getting that much of that. Actually, I am getting a decent amount of now that you mention it.
Because as you were talking about that, I was like, okay, well, what does my stuff show if I run a $200 guy? I was looking at like Chris Conley or whatever, and it's just showing me the Rams and the 49ers. Like for me, when I look at stuff, I don't feel like splitting, my remaining like $3,800 or $4,000 between a $200 player and a defense is worth it. But I was curious if you're seeing that, or if you find that, or if you don't even care.
I have the defenses and kickers basically all of them are around 20% for me. that's pretty much all I've got for that. I don't know. I did end up with 15% of the Pearsall. Look, I like speculating on these short week slates and everything like that. I don't mind doing that, and I think it is a good week for the kickers to potentially have a nice game. Hopefully, I'm wrong, and the Rams just win like 27-0. I also love the Rams in this game right now. I cannot believe they're actually 3-point dogs. I think if anything, they should be like 1, or they should be favored.
Yeah, I disagree with that one. I mean, coming off that win, I'd make them for a big letdown coming off that Buffalo.
They've been smoking everybody. They have one bad game against the Eagles. They're healthy. Micah Parsons was just saying on his podcast today that this is the team in the league that anybody would want.
Okay. We stop talking.
Right.
The usual amount. Wait. The usual amount.
What's the usual amount? Okay.
The usual amount. There it is. So
okay.
Now we don't have to spew anymore. We have big money going on it now. We have big money going on it, and that's the end of it. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Sounds good.
What do you need? 3 points or 2.5 points? Or what is it?
3 points.
3 points. Fine. 3 points.
All right, I love it.
There it is. Big money.
I look forward to cashing this one at halftime. No,
that's it.
I'm just kidding. But I do think that like the Rams, I'm just very protective of them because I really believe they can make a run if they can get in somehow.
You know what someone gave me is a pretty good prop, by the way. This guy's hot too. I think it was something like an over for Purdy rushing yards in this game.
An over. That's what is it? I wonder what this.
I don't remember what it was, but it was like he was suggesting an alt line of over like 20.5, 10-1 or some. There's some big number or something like that out there.
I like that. Even as a Rams fan, I think it's a good bet.
Yeah,
I think over 20 would be like that seems very doable. That would probably be elevated. I'm guessing it's probably around 14.
Yeah, that's elevated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little worried, and it was Daniels is pointing out here in the San Francisco had 7 sacks versus Chicago, which everybody gets 1 million sacks versus Chicago anyway. But
that helps his rushing yards. That's my point.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, 100. I'm with you. But with Bosa and Greenlaw back, it does change the defense. I agree. This is the better version of San Francisco than we've seen recently. So, but I'm still going with my Rams.
Do you think that hurts the running game from the Rams?
Yeah, but I'm not worried about it enough. I just have to see what, even with these guys playing, they just got lit up every week. I can't deny the results.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm with reading between the lines. I think I'm with Brandon on this idea that the Rams are going to get there. It's going to be for the passing game.
Okay.
Dude, I'll tell you that Puka, man. I don't know where do they find him?
BYU.
Oof.
He's awesome.
Good grief.
I mean, he's literally like a young Cooper Kupp.
He's like an old Cooper Kupp too. I mean, like he's like
I know, yeah.
Insane. I mean, like, but all these guys, I keep getting marveling every freaking week at what these receivers can do. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
and him and Jefferson and Chase and Lamb and it's just nuts.
I mean, freaking Jerry Jeudy coming out of nowhere too with like 200 yards, and they still lost.
Yeah,
he didn't give an F.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Jameis Winston, but nobody loves him more than Jerry Jeudy does.
Right. Yep.
Jeudy has every game what he had the entire season without Winston. And now he just gets it every game. Sticky Ricky and the captain. I am a little surprised at the lack of production from Pearsall so far, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they got all their guys back now. What are they going to do?
Well, they don't though. I mean, they don't have Ayuk, and
That's true.
I mean, this guy
is like wide receiver 1 now. I mean,
the funny part is there was a stat I was reading that was like Pearsall shot. He was shot like right before the season. He was drafted this year. He was like their guy, and they drafted him this year. He got shot. He missed some games or whatever. But he still played more games so far this year than Embiid. Like, I think it's kind of funny.
Wait, more games than who?
Embiid.
Oh, Jesus.
Let me see, where am I at? My overall exposure, Jennings and Kyron are my highest owned players. Nothing special about that. I got to a lot more Tutu Atwell. I think just the price makes it happen. And it's worth it. He can get there in one play. He's a cheap enough price where that's really all you need from him. And there is more upside on that if they do a good job. And Stafford's great at going through his reads. So if they're going to double Nakua and Kupp can't get open or whatever, you're going to see some Atwell and Robinson. I promise you.
I'll tell you what you know what I'm getting right now as my top owned captain, I'm right now getting about 35 to 40% over like 100 lineups of one individual as the captain. And that person is Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I had to lower him manually. But look, it fits your running narrative. You got the double up. You know, if you bet the over on the rushing and Purdy, because that's really how it's going to happen for you, I think.
And the fact is, the guy gets there, right? Like,
yeah. No, he does. He absolutely does. And as much as I love my Rams team, it's not like this defense is like world beaters. They have improved. You wouldn't know it by last week, but they have improved in general throughout the season. Okay, I just updated, and anybody who's a site member, I just updated my exposures anyway for what I've got tonight. But I'm pretty sure in my big buy-in, my one big buy-in, I'll play Kyren as the captain. Seems like that's what's going to happen.
Oh, I'm getting all kinds of nonsense in my lineups. Oh, I love it. Okay, I'm not getting the uber nonsense, but I'm getting like the nonsense. Like I'm getting like the Blake Corums and the Hunter Longs. Like Hunter Longs, he's like chalk as far as what my lineups are going to look like right now, I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. But my top owned guys are the top owned guys. I mean, it's no real difference there. But let me just see something. Let's download all these lineups. But right now, I am going to roll. I think with Purdy as my top owned captain. I'm getting different enough, I think, in these stupid flex plays. I think we'll see.
Yeah, I'm my biggest buy-in. Yeah, I've got for what, and my bold take tonight. I guess it's not that bold, but I like Kupp to outscore Nakua.
You just want me to donate tonight across the board.
What's that?
I said you just want me to donate.
No, I'm just telling you this is what I see happening. They try to take turns. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Because I'm like, every time you say something, I was like, man, I hope that doesn't happen. Man, if that happens, I'm screwed. It's like just everything. It's like
you guys talk about the Niners for 20 minutes. But like, at least not only is it the Rams my team, I hate the Niners. I hate anything San Francisco team-wise more than anything else. So I can't stand talking about the Niners, even though obviously we have to play them. Purdy, Jennings, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then I'm stuck with the Rams or Niners. Yikes. Yeah, it's a little harder to hand build today than I thought it was going to be. I'm just hand building this one, and it's a little tough. I do think that the Vaughn is the super lottery play, the crazy off the board. Nobody will do it, and you could probably get him at 1% in the flex. And we've seen a million times Shanahan has used second and third string running backs and turned them into studs. And if Grando's banged up, Patrick Taylor's kind of a journeyman. I could see Vaughn getting some work. I'm selling myself on it, but I don't know. And
I don't even know what I would do with that.
Yeah, it's just a weird. It's like it would be like instead of the Rams or Niners defense, which doesn't feel great. I'm just throwing it out there as a get wild play.
No, I mean, anytime you or she say something, I usually just look at how I would utilize the play.
Mm-hmm. Who would have thought we would be living in a world where Jennings is more expensive than Kittle? I never thought.
Well, you know what's amazing about Jennings, like kind of like taking over the wide receiver one spot, is that it's not like he's some like young rookie.
No, right.
He's like a freaking journeyman.
He's a journeyman. He's been a great third down receiver his whole career. And all of a sudden, they needed him and they made him into something. I give Shanahan credit for that, man. Shanahan's awesome at just turning things into seemingly out of nowhere into something.
Yeah.
This looks better to me though. Yeah, I like I do like, just straight. Oh my God, that's not shoot. I found the lineup I liked and I entered in the wrong thing. Let me just see what I've got here. Kyren, Kupp.
How much time? Oh, it's 7:50.
With Purdy. And we're going with Kittle. And we're going with Parkinson. And we're going with Moody. Did you end up with any, as I'm looking at my things, I didn't have anything that wildly out of whack in terms of like leaving 10,000 or something on the table. The most I'm leaving, I think, is like 2,400 anywhere. It seems like a slate better to spend.
I don't even am leaving that much.
Yeah, I don't think you should. I think 1,000 would be like the most, but I mean, I'm doing one, so it doesn't matter. But for the most part, my stuff is like 800 max.
Yeah,
on all my lineups and stuff.
That's fair. It's just it's like the difference between it's like if you get a funny spot, like I have like 4,800 left to spend, I can choose Pearsall, either the defenses, Robinson, and I kind of like the Corum idea. So I wanted to get a little bit of exposure to that. That's where it sort of came from for me. And let's see who else we got here. Okay, yeah, I like this. I'm doing the Vaughn in one lineup.
Are you really?
Throwing it in one, just one $20 lineup. Like Taylor Price, like IG is not 100%. I don't know what that means. Oh, yeah, it makes perfect sense because they did it in case Scarenda was out. Camp just needed.
He's priced that way, but he's not like being owned that way.
Yeah. And by the way, Jennings this is not all that new to him. I mean, Jennings had games in the playoffs where he had 2 touchdowns and 120 yards or whatever. It's not like the first time but he's never been like the wide receiver one. This is just wild. What am I doing with it? Oh my God, I have Jake Tongas in some lineups. Yeah.
There it is. There it is.
No, I don't want it.
There it is. I see. What I did, I threw him out in the universe, right?
I know.
I cast him in the universe, and that's it. Wouldn't it be funny if he's actually just like a made up name? He's not even actually on the team.
It's like you could get away with that in football too. It's totally doable.
It's like that fake high school team or whatever, that fake college or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you could play Saubert though.
See, this is what happens. Like you guys, you make your good lineups. You're in contention. Like Bobby, you're in like first place for like the whole freaking tournament. Whatever. Brandon's, chopping, winning everything, and now I'm here poisoning you guys like with these plays.
Hey, look, I've gotten way better. I'm just waiting for news. I'll only change if the news is there. This is the same line I had all day. I did that last couple months. I'm like, I build it at noon, and unless things change, that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
So you want to hear a weird thing from the NBA that's happened tonight so far, Sheets?
Oh no, am I out already?
No, Jake Podol was a late scratch.
What?
And then that was at 4:36. At 7:36 that happened. Then at 7:48, it just says Jake Podol is checked into the game.
Let's go.
What's going on here? Like, you can't. I'm glad we didn't get that before lock.
I'm so really happy that we were just talking football. That's what I mean. F the NBA, really. I mean, like, what is that?
Oh man. It's there's the Tobias. Oh my God! It's Boston game. It's 12-11 with 3 minutes to go in the first quarter.
That is not the stack. It looks like.
Well, it might be though because
that was getting close, right?
Tobias Harris already has like 14 fantasy points.
Cat at like the end of like the first half, he had like double the fantasy points, the next highest guy, and he was like the 4th leading scorer on the team. Like
right, it's the same thing with on the other side for a while. What's his name? My favorite guy, the Hawks, Jalen Johnson. He had he had 25 fantasy points before he had a point, basically.
Right.
It was wild. All right.
On the other hand, I think DeAndre Hunter had like more actual points than fantasy points somehow.
That did feel like it was happening. Yeah.
Back when Darryl Strawberry was on the Mets, that was always my joke with him, is that he would have somehow more home runs than RBIs for the season.
It's like the old Barry Bonds thing. Oh, so what is happening? This it's so weird. Bruno Fernando started, and now this is throwing everything.
I'm so glad I didn't see any of it.
You didn't see anything.
Dude, look at this. I'm in first place in the splash. See?
Nice. I'm in like 20th in the lottery.
That's it. Because I've got there's the Tobias Harris. 10% owned. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I have no risk at all. I have
right.
no stress. The best way to watch an NBA slate is to not have anything on it.
Trust me, you're doing better than I am.
I think that's fair. It's
first place in the splash. You know what that means? That means I have all these guys from this first game, and that means it's busting. It's like
Let's see what this is.
Dude, I got crushed. Like, just real fast, I played the last 2 NBA slates. Like, the 2 gamers got completely destroyed. Like,
Yeah, me too.
It tilted enough to like, okay, I'll come back in the playoffs in January. Like, I just got pissed off. Like, I'm not doing
Look
that.
at me sitting there with a Brandon Boston exposure ready to kick in at 8:00.
Yeah, I like that.
This guy. So there must have been something about Pirtle because he was only 4% owned.
His back. No, they announced the starting lineup. They announced him starting, and then they changed it. But they changed it at 7:34.
Right, but it seems as though somebody.
Well, it's just the other set. I think it's just too many centers on the slate. But the Sabres,
Isaiah Stewart's struggling just a tad.
Yeah, they'll probably get there. Unless he's in foul trouble, he'll probably get there.
Oh no! Look at this, Grady Dick with 10 points halfway through the first quarter.
Okay.
I mean, 10 real life points.
Yeah.
14.5 actual points at 3% ownership, which I don't have any of. I don't think.
What is wrong with the Heat to start this game? Jesus, that's embarrassing. Slow start for the Celtics, obviously. Cade, okay. Isaiah Stewart. No, at least he's not in foul trouble. Did they bring in Asar? That's what I did. So I forced in some Asar Thompson because I speculated they might use him as like a backup big, but I also forced in some Paul Reed, which seems like they're kind of using both of them a little more tonight. Or they came in a little earlier than I think was expected. We'll see. All right, fellas. Should we you guys ready?
I'm ready to call it.
All right. Good luck, everybody, tonight.
So what's it going to be? Brandon first. Now, this is what's going to happen. Brandon first. He's going to chop first with like a bunch.
Yeah, because I don't care about the dupes, man.
No, I know you're going to chop first, but it's going to be a good one. You'll chop first for. It just hit me. $12,284.
God, I hope so.
That's what you're going to do.
Okay, that sounds good.
$12,284. And I'll have a unique lineup in 7th that cashes for $12.80.
And then just another train behind you. Like,
Exactly. I'll try to thread the needle with the what's the guy's name? Do you say the Roji or whatever his name is? I forget who that guy is.
Tonga.
The Elange or whatever. Yeah.
All
right. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch up to you later.
All right, sounds good. Good luck, everybody, and please click the like button.